There's a big difference between a check engine light coming on intermittently, staying on constantly, or worst of all, flashing. Should you keep driving or stop now before damaging your car more? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what causes the check engine light to come on and what next steps you need to take now in either situation to protect yourself, your family, and your car. And best of all, I'll share what you need to do to prevent that check engine light from needing to come on in the first place. I've been a car enthusiast for over 50 years, and I've successfully dealt with check engine lights numerous times in the past. Above all else, keep in mind that the check engine light came on for a reason. There is something wrong with your car. But how serious is it, and what do you need to do now? Well, a steady amber-colored or yellow light is important, but not critical. Typically, the yellow light turns on to indicate that a system is about to fail, or a service like an oil change is due. If your check engine light intermittently turns on and affects performance, it's best to minimize driving and see a mechanic or troubleshoot it yourself as soon as possible. Ignoring it and keep driving could potentially leave you stranded and result in big repair bills soon. A flashing check engine light signifies a severe engine problem. Pull over as soon as possible and arrange for your vehicle to be towed to a mechanic or troubleshoot and repair your car yourself. But don't drive it further. Continuing to drive with a flashing check engine light may result in irreversible engine damage. So some of the more common reasons the check engine light could be on steady or intermittently, one of them is a loose or faulty gas cap. You didn't tighten it up when filling the tank, or the seal is faulty. Now, if the seal is faulty, you need to replace the gas cap. But check this first before doing anything else. And it could be the O2 sensor, which is located on the exhaust side. There's usually two O2 sensors. One is just before the catalytic converter, and the other is typically just after. This is often accompanied by poor gas mileage, rough idle, and can eventually damage spark plugs and your catalytic converter. The fix here is to replace that O2 sensor. Another common one is air intake leaks. So check for loose hoses, punctures in hoses, or bad seals causing excessive air leaking into the system. Things like damaged or compromised PCV hoses, vacuum hoses, and intake manifold gaskets. Not really sure where the PCV valve is in all of this on my GR Corolla. If you know, please add it in the comments below. Could be the mass airflow sensor, or MAF, located on the air intake system, which monitors the amount of air coming into the engine. It can be cleaned or, just replaced. Another one could be a dirty or clogged catalytic converter. Yeah, over time they do get dirty or clogged, but when that happens, they just need to be replaced. A deteriorated battery can also be the cause. Check the date code. If it's more than 5 years old or is defective, it can trigger the check engine light. If the alternator output is either too high or too low, guess what? Check engine light. Another common one is worn out spark plugs or spark plug cables that have become compromised. Now, honestly, when was the last time those spark plugs were replaced? Typically, depending on your make or model, they should be replaced anywhere between 30,000 and 100,000 miles. Check the manual. It could be an electronic or electrical fault. Now, this check engine light is usually accompanied by an EPC or battery light to help you pinpoint that it really is an electrical or electronic fault. An exhaust leak can also trigger a check engine light. Now, typically you would know if there's an exhaust leak because the car is louder, and it's just basically a matter of having that fixed. You might just need to have it welded. A clogged fuel filter restricting the flow, or just plain low quality fuel. Like if you buy fuel that's below the octane that your vehicle requires, guess what? You can also get a check engine light. And if it says premium unleaded gas only, make sure that's what you're putting in your car. Faulty purge valve can also trigger a check engine light, but something we don't often consider is a faulty transmission can also cause that. And likely one of the most dreaded of all is a malfunction within the engine control module. And if you do aftermarket modifications to the intake, exhaust, or the ECM, the engine control module, guess what? You'll likely get a check engine light. Now, the most common reasons why the check engine light is on and flashing, and again, if you get this situation, you need to stop driving now and have your car towed to a repair location. Fouled spark plugs, a faulty oxygen sensor, or a vacuum leak. But you'll get a clue because the car will run rough. The car can quit at any time, and keep in mind, you're doing damage to the car's engine right now. Another one is low fuel pressure caused by a partially clogged fuel filter, bad or dirty injectors, a failing fuel regulator, a broken fuel pump, or just a defective sensor. And in those situations, you'll notice trouble accelerating, especially when you're trying to accelerate uphill. A faulty engine sensor sending bad info to your car's computer can be another cause. Your car has numerous engine sensors. In this case, your car engine is actually fine, but you don't know if it really is or isn't. The only way to know for sure is by getting the car's computer scanned with an OBD scan tool. If your car has high mileage or has been poorly maintained, your car may be low on compression just because the engine is just plain worn out. Now, this is a major problem that will likely require the car, or at the very least, the engine to be replaced. You'll experience jerky acceleration and greatly reduced power. Keep in mind that while it might be okay to temporarily drive your car with a solid check engine light being on, once it starts flashing, it's time to stop. Pull your car over to the side of the road as soon as possible and take it in to be serviced immediately. To start to figure out the problem and get your car fixed, you or your mechanic will need to connect an OBD-II scanner to the car, like this Ancel AD310 QBD-II code reader. But how can you keep that check engine light from coming on in the first place? Well, make sure that all of your services are up to date, especially things like spark plug replacement, and that the engine and its systems are checked over by a mechanic who is familiar with your brand at least once a year. Just getting oil changes is not enough maintenance. Click here for some great videos on how to show your car some love through DIY detailing, and I'll see you there. Any questions or comments? Add them down below.